At Arizona State University, we've made online education better, smarter, and more personalized so you can go further in your aspiring field.
I decided to pursue medicine once I realized that ASU did have the online program for biological sciences. You're still required to learn the same curriculum. You're still being tested on the same content that anyone would be tested on in person. The comprehensiveness of the program prepared me so well for medical school.
Explore over 350 plus programs at asuonline.asu.edu. At Arizona State University, we're bringing world-class education from our globally acclaimed faculty to you. Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online. That's a degree better. Learn more at asuonline.asu.edu.
Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
This is a catastrophe.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
That's what I wished for when I blew out my candle.
Locking down the middle of the day, live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
The floor is yours.
Hour number 2 here on Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools. The Browns just did a helmet reveal in whatever river runs next to Cleveland. Maybe it's the lake. They say it's the Mistake by the Lake. And they were pulling the tarp off this big inflatable helmet, and one of the employees that was helping pull the tarp off fell in the lake. It's the stupidest video I've ever seen, but it just encapsulates everything that is the Browns. The helmet, by the way, is not orange. It is brown. So we'll see if they don that with some orange uniforms, which will look bad, or some brown uniforms, which will probably look bad, because orange and brown just kind of looks bad. But it definitely looks bad when one of the employees that's trying to help take the tarp off of the helmet just takes a spill into the lake. That's a tough scene there in Cleveland. I'm sure the Browns have a great year, though. Definitely on that track. Let's talk some LSU football. I've got a series going right now on LouisianaSports.net. It's called In-Depth Chart, where I go into every single position on the field and talk about the entirety of the depth chart. Started with center. We moved out to guard. Now today we talked about both tackle spots. And I kind of start with like who's gone. And y'all are well aware of who's gone, right? Will Campbell is arguably, and you can make a very strong case, the best offensive lineman in LSU history. Now, there are Hall of Famers that have come through LSU, and I'm not going to argue for Will Campbell against Mawai or Faneca. I'm not even in a hurry to do it against Whitworth. But when you look at what Campbell did and came in the spring, 2 weeks into a new staff, had already won the left tackle job, played it every game his entire career except for one that he got sick, became a consensus All-American in the 4th pick in the draft. Like, that body of work is as impressive as anybody who's ever played at LSU. Just is. So if you would rather take Whitworth, you'd rather take, Faneca and Mawai didn't play the tackle spots, but you'd rather take those guys up front. Like, I'm fine with that. I'm not going to argue against it, but Campbell's body of work is strong. And then you look at Emory Jones on the other side, who came in as a 4-star recruit and was inserted into the game in week 2 and the starting lineup in week 3 of his freshman year and never came out. And you look at those two guys who played together 35 times on the offensive line at the bookend tackle spots. That's a special combo in LSU history. Jones goes in the 3rd round to the Ravens, and he'll have a great chance to make that team and be a starter on that team. So those are the guys you got to replace. They've been your starters for 3 years. So what do you do? Well, here are the guys you got back from the team last year. You got Tyree Adams, who's 6'7", 310, and now a 3rd-year player. You've got Weston Davis, who's 6'7", 315, and is now a 2nd-year player, former 5-star. You've got Kyrie Lee, who might play tackle, might play guard, 6'6", 305. He's in his 2nd year in the program. And you've got Ethan Callaway, who's a towering dude at 6'7", 310, who's also a redshirt sophomore. Those 4 guys are back. Tyree Adams, Weston Davis, Kyrie Lee, and Ethan Callaway. And I think Tyree Adams and Weston Davis are the prohibitive favorites to start at the tackle spots. But you also brought in some new guys. Josh Thompson is a grad transfer from Northwestern, 6'5", 301, and I think they brought him in to play right guard. But Brian Kelly said last week in Atlanta, like, he's versatile, And if we need him to go out there and play tackle, he can go play tackle. And what I read into that is we like Weston Davis. He's 6'7", 315. He was a 5-star recruit. He sat last year and watched, and now he's ready to come in and be the right tackle. And if he's not ready to be the right tackle, Thompson can go do it. But he's there as an insurance policy, but I think he's going to be the right guard. Then you've got the freshman. You've got Tyler Miller, 6'6", 335. Might be a guard, might be a tackle. He's listed as tackle on LSU's website. I'll take their word for it. You got Solomon Thomas, 5-star, 6'4", 325. Might be a tackle, might be a guard. We'll see. And then you've got the real wild card here. The wild card here is Carius Kern. Carius Kern has absolutely wowed people in Baton Rouge since he arrived. He got here in the spring. He was great in the spring. They looked at him at left tackle a lot. He is 335 pounds, 330 pounds, 6'5", is one of the strongest offensive linemen on the team already. You can see that on the videos they're putting out on Twitter with Freak of the Week. He can do backflips. He was a 5-star, number 1 interior offensive lineman in the country by On3. This is a guy that they could get into the game. And we know that Brad Davis and Brian Kelly are not terrified to put a freshman in the game. And so we'll see if that happens. I think Adams has been groomed for the left tackle spot. He looks like a left tackle. He's 6'7", 310, not a lot of bad weight, moves pretty well, really long arms. And then Weston Davis is the prototype as well. Same type size, basketball player growing up, just started playing football as a sophomore, needed some time to grow up, and maybe he has. He played a little left tackle against Baylor in the bowl game. You look at what Adams did last year against in the Pro Football Focus grades. And again, I talked about this, and this is the last day we'll have to do this, really. But for the offensive line, I don't have a lot of objective metrics to go off of other than Pro Football Focus, which is subjective, but it does bring it into a number form. I can give you receiving yards, rushing yards, passing yards, tackles, sacks, tackles for loss, hurries. I can give you all that. For offensive linemen, I don't have a lot other than here's what the people who watch the tape say. And the people that watch the tape say that Tyree Adams was a 53 grade overall last year, 53.5 in the run game, and 48.4 in the passing game. That is concerning. But you've had a spring, you've had a summer, and you'll have a fall camp. You got a really good offensive line coach who's developed a lot of really good players, and Adams has every tool you could want in the toolbox. Now, Weston Davis does as well. He doesn't have any playing time really behind him other than a couple games last year. So, to me, I think you've got 4 likely candidates to man those 2 spots. It starts with Tyree Adams and Weston Davis. I think Josh Thompson is next up at right tackle, and Carius Kern is right there behind him if things don't work out. Now, Thompson at tackle, where he started 12 games for Northwestern 2 years ago in 2023, was graded a 55.1 in the running game, 62.4 in the passing game. He also doesn't have that elite length. He's a technician, he's experienced, he knows what he's doing, but he's not a dynamic athlete or a freakishly proportioned person. He's just a solid add to this LSU offensive line. One way or another, LSU's going to have to play well at tackle, because if they don't, this thing is in big, big trouble. Garrett Nussmeier was sacked very, very infrequently last year. In fact, there were only 6 teams in college football that had their quarterback sacked fewer than LSU last year. And LSU was in the top 10 in the country in passes attempted. So Nussmeier, 1, gets the ball out very quickly, but 2, was protected very well last year. And if that breaks down and he's uncomfortable in the backfield, looking down the field, he's not going to be able to make LSU's offense hum with the great wide receivers they have. If these guys don't play well and are liabilities on the edge, and you got to leave Bauer Sharp in to block, and you got to leave a back end to block, and you limit what you've got out in routes, and all that stuff happens, then you're not going to be as dynamic as you need to be. What you need to have happen is that LSU needs to be comfortable with their 5 offensive linemen, comfortable with Garrett Nussmeier's reading of the defense and where the pressure's coming from, and comfortable to let the routes progress and go get them. If LSU can allow that receiving core to roam, they will carve teams up. But if they can't block, they've got no chance. Like, that is the chasm that we're working with based on offensive line play. And I know, and I've said this a bunch of times, but if you're one of these LSU fans that absolutely bemoaned the offensive line last year because they can't run the ball and they can't run block and they're overrated and I'm sick of watching it and they're one-dimensional and that's the way you formed your opinion on this, again, that's your right. I would suggest this to the counter. They were really, really, really good in pass pro, and that allowed LSU to throw for 4,000 yards. And yes, I want LSU to get better in the run game. They've got to get better in the run game. We talked about it in What If Wednesday in the middle of the first hour. But I don't want to compromise pass protection too much because I still think that's going to be LSU's strength is throwing the ball. Your quarterback is seasoned, veteran, and talented. Your wide receiving core is awesome. Like, you want to throw the ball. You've got to have the ability to protect to do that. And I think sometimes we may have taken that ability to protect for granted because they didn't block as well for the run. And that's what you're going to have from this group of offensive linemen. My contention on this whole thing, LSU does take a step back at tackle this year. I don't know how you could not take a step back, but I still think they're going to be good enough because they've got a quarterback that reads defense as well and gets rid of the football as quickly as anybody in the country. That's a metric that they keep. So you're going to take a step back. How big a step back is probably the biggest deal. Is it minuscule and Nussmeier's fine, or are you really struggling on the perimeter to protect, and do you have to compromise your entire offense because of it? That's Brad Davis's chore. I asked Brian Kelly about it last Monday. He said they knew they were losing 4 guys. They're ready to go. And we'll see if they're ready to go. We'll get out to the practice a week from tomorrow. So that's my look at LSU's tackle spot. If you want to read in depth about it, a lot of stats and some other thoughts in there, you can find it for free every single day for the next 15 days at LouisianaSports.net. All right, we'll step aside when we come back. The Saints were actually on the practice field today. I'll give you what I've read and my interpretation of that coming up next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com is the website, HighlandIG.com. If you're dissatisfied with your commercial insurance, make Highland Insurance Group the next viable option. They are more than happy to take a look at your current policy, no matter what you've got in place, and audit it. And they'll tell you for free, here's what's good about it, here are my concerns, this we've got to fix. And the more that falls into that latter category, the more you'll realize, hey, these guys are experts. I need to take care of my business with my insurance dollars. Let them handle it. And they will. Jonathan Carver and his team have done it for a long time, and they're happy to help you anywhere in the state of Louisiana. They can get you into captives. They can help your property insurance policy as storm season's here. If you're not sure about EPL insurance, crime insurance, cyber insurance, what the proper workers' comp classifications are supposed to look like, he can handle all that over at Highland Insurance Group. It's HighlandIG.com. The Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools.
Wednesday shows brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools. Get into the pool of your dreams as quickly as you can. If you've always thought about getting a pool in the backyard but never quite had the guts to make it happen, call Joey Blanchard and the folks at Renaissance Homes and Pools. You can find them online. Fill out the contact sheet, builtbyrenaissance.com, builtbyrenaissance.com. The best part about working with Renaissance is you're working with a local company. Joey has been here for years and years and years, decades. And he's helped dozens and dozens of folks in the Baton Rouge area get into their pool. So no matter what you're looking for, a little cocktail pool for the kids to swim by, make sure you can get some sun at the pool, looking for one to help the grandkids out. Renaissance Homes and Pools can do it for you. It starts with a consultation with Joey. what you're looking for, what they can do for you, what your ideas are. If you maybe don't know where to start, Joey can help you with that. And with the software they've got on hand, they can lay it out to scale, 3-dimensional, with an outdoor kitchen, without an outdoor kitchen, with the furniture, without the furniture, the whole deal. And you can see it for yourself before they start digging in your backyard. And you'll work with Joey every single step of the way, from the design to the digging, to the filling in of the pool, to the finish, all the way through. Joey is there step by step. It's Renaissance Homes and Pools. Check them out online, builtbyrenaissance.com. All right, obviously, you're well aware I was not at Saints practice today. I'm here doing a radio show, and we'll certainly talk to Luke tomorrow about what he saw out there the first 2 days, because he'll have seen camp tomorrow as well. But I have been able to glean a lot from Twitter, where there's a lot of video and a lot of information on the old Twitter feed. And then Ross Jackson has an incredibly detailed practice report up at louisianasports.net. That's awesome. You can go by play. You can get Ross's impressions, the results, some statistics. It's all there for free. You don't have to get behind a paywall or subscribe or do a free trial, deal with pop-up ads. If you're looking for Saints content, you can find it at louisianasports.net for free. Clearly, all eyes today, tractor beam right on quarterback, right? That's the story. It's the first-year head coach in Kellen Moore. It's the highest draft pick in 50 years in Tyler Shuck. It's a guy in Spencer Rattler who took the reins for a portion of last year. And it's time to go. It's time to compete. And I think everybody that I've talked to and most people that are evaluating the situation feel like that Shook is the best bet because he's the guy that this staff drafted. They did not draft Spencer Rattler last year. That was, of course, the Dennis Allen regime. So who would take the first reps today? Who's going to get that first leg up in the quarterback competition? Well, today, there were 17 first-team snaps. Spencer Rattler got all 17. There were 15 second-team snaps. Tyler Shuck got all 15. There were 10 third-team snaps. Jay Kaner got all 10. Now, you're going to go, whoa, Shuck didn't even get a single rep with the first team? Kind of a statement, huh? No, not really. Kellen Moore came to the microphone, did not play coy, did not try to hide from it, did not deflect or give a coach speak answer. So no, we gave Rattler the reps today because it's seniority. Now, as Ross points out in his story on louisianasports.net, like Jay Kaner has more seniority than both of them when it comes to NFL service time. But I don't think he's really in this battle. This is a Tyler Shuck, Spencer Rattler battle. They got a long training camp ahead. You got one guy who's been in the league a little bit longer. He gets the nod today. Tomorrow, you would expect Tyler Shuck to get significant action behind the first team offensive line with the first team weapons. You look at the statistics that Ross has published on louisianasports.net, and it was a really, really solid day from Spencer Rattler with the football. 9 of 9 with the first team. Did a great job of operating the offense. A lot of it was in the intermediate game. Shuck was 2 of 6 with a couple of sacks. And it's very clearly written by Ross on louisianasports.net that, like, hey, these statistics are pretty skewed here. Rattler, perfect 9 for 9. Shuck, 2 for 6, couple of sacks. Like, that's a big disparity. But Rattler had the first team offensive line and had all day to throw at times. Shuck was behind the second team offensive line and had no time and was running for his life. And that's where the sacks come in, and that's where the incompletions come in, and that's where the inconsistencies come in. You're working with the second team. Now, we'll see if you flip this tomorrow and Shuck is 3 for 9 behind the first team and Rattler is 6 out of 7 with 2 touchdowns behind the second team. Well, that's a pretty big step in the right direction for Spencer Rattler. If these stats just flip on their heads and Shuck's great with the first team and Rattler's not so good with the second team, well, you kind of have your idea of what's going on. It's just a tougher deal to play behind the second team. Always is. Kicker is an interesting battle that we're not talking about a ton in the offseason, but I think will get some play in training camp. Blake Grupe is the incumbent, obviously. He nailed all 5 of his 5 kicks. An extra point, 38 yards, 41 yards, 47 yards, 49 yards. He was money. Matthew Hayball comes up. That was in the punting competition. Matthew Hayball comes up where he's competing with James Burnham. And the Aussie was really good, apparently, getting the ball well up in the air. The thought is that Charlie Smith has a chance to unseat Blake Grupe at the kicking spot, but there will be a competition. Groupie can't keep up from a leg strength perspective. He can keep up with his accuracy, and he was great today in that spot. Safety is a big deal for this New Orleans Saints team now that Tyrann Mathieu is moving on. You're looking at Justin Reed, who they just signed to a free agent deal. He was out there today. Jordan Howden was out there with him in the secondary. The second team included Jonas Sanker, Terrell Burgess, J.T. Gray, and Elliott Davidson were out there with the third team. So this is Howden's shot. Like, this kind of came out of nowhere. Didn't know that Tyrann was going to hang it up. Who knows when the Saints were made aware of it? We certainly weren't as of yesterday at this point. And then all of a sudden, you've got an empty spot in the secondary. Can Jordan Howden go out there and win it? Or does Jonas Sanker come and potentially steal that spot? That's going to be something to watch in all of camp. Howden's not a guy I'm trying to kick out the door. Howden is young. He is cheap. He's shown some flashes at times, mostly on special teams. But if he can prove that he's got a chance to be a really good player, then I'd want to give him more looks. And the truth be told, he probably wasn't going to get a ton of looks with Tyrann out there. Tyrann was going to be the starter if healthy. Tyrann's been pretty healthy. So this, while it's disappointing to us as Louisiana sports fans, as LSU fans, as Saint fans, to see Tyrann step away because you've got a sentimental attachment to him, as I've always talked about, like, Tyrann was not going to be on the next great Saints team. Neither is Cam Jordan. Neither is Demario Davis. Kamara may not be. Ramczyk certainly isn't. Like, there's a generation there that's going to phase out, and Tyrann is part of that generation. Now he's out, and as big a bummer as that is, it's opportunity for younger players. It's opportunity for guys they've drafted later in rounds that have been in the league for 1-2 years that can now make their claim to a safety spot that wasn't otherwise open after Justin Reed was signed. So I'm curious to watch how that plays out. It'll be something absolutely to look at. Another thing that Ross notes beyond Kamara, two backs saw a majority of the first team reps, rookie Devin Neal and veteran Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Neal also saw snaps with the second team, along with Kendre Miller, and then Cam Akers worked along multiple units. Interesting that Devin Neal was getting some first team reps, and Kendre Miller was not. That's surprising to me. Now, we talked a lot about how much we like Devin Neal immediately after the draft process in the spring. And certainly there's a lot of reasons. When you're the leading rusher in any college football program's history, you're doing something right. And Devin Neal is that for Kansas. But Kendre Miller, we thought, had kind of emerged out of the shadows of the Dennis Allen era and was going to be able to maybe take a step forward this year. And you certainly don't rule that out after a 90-minute practice, but it is interesting that they put the rookie out there in Devin Neal and not Kendre Miller in his third year, who was a pretty high draft choice. Interesting, I might add. So lots and lots of notes and nuggets from Saints training camp today. Ross Jackson has got you covered there over on LouisianaSports.net. We've got you covered at Hunt on LSU, and then, of course, Hunt on Saints for all of your Saints content. We'll talk to Luke tomorrow. We'll get a handle on what's going on out there in Metairie, but I wanted to give those guys a chance to go in, watch practice, get their practice reports done, do their press conference, their interviews, and then tomorrow we'll bother Luke, and then certainly we'll talk to somebody else who's out there coming up on Friday. Lots of Saints coverage as the Black and Gold are out there on the practice field for training camp here on July the 23rd. In Metairie. We got 30 minutes to go. We'll step aside, take a timeout, come back with more. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. Customized closet space. Maybe not something you think about, but man, is it important. We moved into my old house and closet space wasn't great. My wife's looking around going, this is not going to work. And we could have called David, and we would have called David if we didn't know we were going to move. Once Keller came, young pup, we were going to need another bedroom, so we were going to get out of there. And once we did, we prioritized closet space, and we're thrilled with what we've done there. But you don't have to move to get a brand new closet. You can get one in your home. And David Duvall is happy to do it. Go check out the pictures. They're great work. They're right there on OneBathAndClosets.com. They're customized. They're gorgeous. They're functional. and they give you just a lot of freedom and space. If you got a ton of clutter and you're just sick of it, let David come in and help you with all of that. He's done it for lots and lots of folks in the Baton Rouge area. He can do it for you. It's been doing it 3 decades. It's One Bath and Closets. Get that free consultation today at onebathandclosets.com.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools.
Did you happen to see what T-Bob Hebert got into last night?
Yeah, I saw it.
So for those that aren't familiar, Barstool has a streaming content show where they try to do outlandish things like make 50 free throws in a row between 5 people and run a marathon or make a hole in one. They had to start from scratch and win a national championship in football, which took like 2 days. On the new NCAA game. And last night's task and challenge was they took 9 guys and they had to eat 99 hot dogs and drink 99 beers in the 9 innings of the Cubs game from a Wrigley rooftop. They got Joey Chestnut on their team, and you might go, well, he could eat like 50 hot dogs probably. He was not allowed to eat hot dogs. He was only allowed to drink beer. And Mincy, who doesn't drink, ate hot dogs, and that was their 10th guy. So they had 10 people trying to do 99 and 99 over 9 innings. Now, having failed miserably at this challenge,
yeah, of course.
Would you have had any advice for the gang previous to them starting out?
Yeah, my advice would be to buy. I don't know if if they put a limit on it, but buy as many hot dogs and beers at one time.
They already had that.
If you already had it,
they were on a rooftop and they just had to grab them.
Yeah, so that's the easiest thing is having the access to it and not having to continually get up and go wait in line for 15 minutes to get what you need and then get back because. Look, their game. I wanted to check the game time and see how long it was. It was only 2 hours and 28 minutes, which is. That's not a lot of time.
It's not.
And so when you're spending 15 minutes in line just to go get a couple of beers and hot dogs, sometimes 20 minutes, that's going to really cut into your ability to do it, even if you are physically capable of it. So
T-Bob went 11 beers, 11 dogs last night.
Yeah, that's not too surprising, I think. I think it's not very surprising that he was able to do it, but it's still an impressive feat nonetheless.
It is. I was watching at the very beginning. Morale was very high. I think they crushed like 28 hot dogs in the first inning between the 10 of them. They were just hammering them down. And then they hit a wall at about the 5th.
Yeah.
And it was a real tough scene. T-Bob, for those that haven't seen this, you can probably follow T-Bob on some social media. Like, my man was hurting in the last half of that game. He was pacing the bleachers. They were on, for those that are not familiar with Wrigley, there are apartments across the street that have bleachers on the top of them. Barstool rented out a whole thing, so it's just them up there. And so T-Bob is literally pacing, just taking individual bites out of a hot dog, trying to suck down the beer. I don't have a great plan for how I would try to accomplish this because I don't like drinking beer when I'm really full. And I feel like if you get real full off beer, like, and you're kind of buzzing, kind of drunk, and like, oh, let me eat these hot dogs. And then like you realize like one hot dog and you're like, well, I don't really want to eat 3 hot dogs. I just wanted the one hot dog. In my head, I was thinking, I was watching last night, I'd be like, I would just knock down 4 beers like really quickly. And then like, oh, I'd be kind of hungry because I'm drunk. And I'm like, yeah, here's a dog. And then I'd realize that I'd get to like the 7th inning and I'd have to eat like 6 hot dogs in 20 minutes. And I just can't do that. Like that's not a doable thing. So I don't have a great plan. Like, I would have no issue whatsoever knocking down 11 beers during a baseball game. I mean, that's just easy money.
It is.
The hot dog portion of this is a problem, and I don't have a good solution for it.
Were they eating buns? They were eating buns and
like Dana, one of the guys, was dunking the buns. Like he was eating the hot dog wiener, and then he was dunking the buns.
Yeah.
He was struggling too, but he got through like 11 and 11 as well.
Yeah, very impressive.
They finished right there at the end. They were like jamming buns into their mouths, and like they were trying to get foul balls in the ninth inning, and then one of the Royals got a hit which extended the game another 3 minutes, and they got it done like on the number. They finished the beers after like 7 1/3 or 8 innings, so they were off beer. They were trying to get Diet Coke sent up there and try to get it down. It did not look fun. It sounds on its head for somebody that's like a young guy that loves to eat and drinks, like, oh, 9-9, I got that easy. Just thinking about it on top of my head and then watching these guys do it, it's like it doesn't look very pleasant.
No, it's not.
It doesn't look like a fun way to watch a game.
No, I'll say that I would probably try it again just because I want to give a better effort, because I know what it takes now going in, and so it is not the most enjoyable thing to do that during the game, because again, not only
but they had better circumstances than you. They had the beers ready and the dogs ready.
Yes, that's the best. That is a really good way.
And I forgot one
do
caveat they had. You probably missed this.
I didn't see that.
So the entirety of the 7th inning, you could vomit.
Oh, wow.
So they had trash cans set up, and they just like went after it, and it was disgusting and hilarious at the same time. Quality entertainment, but a couple of guys like got after it in the 7th inning. Like,
I'm not doing that.
They were getting rid of everything they had, and I didn't see T-Bob do that. I saw 2 guys that were just leaned over, but just that's the quality of content that we've got on the internet these days. Guys just yakking in trash cans and trying to house 100 hot dogs and 100 beers. So that's Barstool, and T-Bob's going to fit in quite nicely up there. Speaking of baseball, I do have some baseball content here. Baseball America came out with their way too early top 25 for 2026. Got any guesses where the Tigers ranked?
Let me guess. 1?
Not 1, 2. UCLA, which I vividly remember this. I called the UCLA LSU game on that. I guess that was on Monday and Tuesday, and in Omaha. And on Monday night, we get the lineup sheets, and I'm going through. I'm doing my scorebook, sitting next to Chris Blair, and I looked and I recalled that Jay Johnson had said in his press conference, like, yeah, they got a great sophomore class, and you can have a great sophomore class, like 4 studs in it. They had 8 of 9 starters were sophomores, and their starting pitcher was a sophomore. So, like, the whole team was a sophomore. And they got all that back. They've got Rock Chalowski coming back, and then they also added Will Gasparino from Texas, who's big, lanky outfielder with some power. So they're going to have a ton of really good juniors on that team. My question with UCLA is I didn't see any high-end pitching talent on that team, and that has to change, or you have no chance. You can be as talented 1 to 9 as you want. If you don't have some dudes to go out there and strike people out and get out, they were just churning through bullpen arms the whole time they were up in Omaha, and that's just not going to get it done. So I'm skeptical of that part of UCLA, but the offense is going to be good. LSU is ranked number 2. In this list. I'll give you the blurb on the Tigers from Baseball America. It said it would have been easy and widely accepted if LSU topped the list after winning its 2nd national title in 3 years, with the roster largely put together by first-year Tigers. And Jay Johnson's a master team builder, and his team is among the best in the country to extract a maximum value from their players. We expect them to keep doing so in 2026. Then he goes through the guys they lost: Anderson, Ianson, Shores, Jared Jones, Ethan Fry, Dickinson, Hernandez, and says Grand Canyon slugger Zach York, Oregon State third baseman Trent Caraway, and Kansas State first baseman Seth Dardar headline a promising group of young offensive transfers on the mound. Former Kansas righty Cooper Moore, former Oregon lefty Santiago Garcia, and former North Dakota State lefty Danny Lockenmeyer bring similarly high upside to that class. It's safe to once again expect a lot out of LSU, which has been nothing short of phenomenal under Johnson's leadership. If you remember, we talked to a couple of different college baseball writers, Jacob Rudner and Peter Flaherty. They combined to put this together, and Rudner talked to us and said he thought that Jay Johnson was clearly the best coach in college baseball. So it should come as no surprise when we hear that from somebody on our airwaves that has written that of Baseball America, that they're going to be very, very high on LSU. Y'all know my feelings. Like I feel like as long as LSU has Jay Johnson at the helm, he's going to put together a really good roster. When I look at this roster, I see a roster that's very much national championship caliber. They've got to have some guys take a step up. Like, no national championship roster has guys that perform at one level one year and then do the exact same the next year. Like, everybody's got to rise, because ultimately you're always going to lose some of your high-end players year over year. you've got to have guys step up. And Casey Evans has got to be better next year than he was last year. And I would suggest that you've got to have some progression from Cade Arambidi. You've got to have progression, especially against left-handers, from Jake Brown. You're going to have progression in SEC play from Stephen Milam. You're going to have progression from Maverick Rizzi and William Schmidt and Cooper Williams. Like, those guys are going to have to be better than they were, but that's the nature of college baseball and certainly the nature of Jay Johnson's program. Anthony Ianson was a different guy at LSU in June than he was at UC San Diego last May. And Chase Shores blossomed late in his season. And you saw awesome stuff from Chris Stanfield, who wasn't that good at Auburn the year before. So if you just get that natural progression from all the guys that I'm mentioning that are coming back, that are going to be on this team, I'm not asking for somebody to become Cade Anderson and lead the nation in strikeouts. It'd be great if Casey Evans did that, and it's possible. But I just need everybody to kind of take that step. And if they do, LSU's as good as anybody. Just if you're curious as to where some other teams rank, Texas is third. Mississippi State with Brian O'Connor comes in at fourth. Auburn comes in at fifth as they return a lot from that freshman class. Chris Rembert, Chase Freilich, Bub Terrell. They lose Sam Dutton, lose Ike Iris, lose Cooper McMurray. That's a big deal. But Auburn is at 5. Georgia is at 6. Tennessee is at 7. So is that 6 of the top 7 from the SEC? That is 6 of the top 7 from the SEC. So that's about right. You're talking about a league that's won 6 national titles in a row, 6 of the top 7 from the SEC. If you're going, where the heck is Arkansas? I scrolled through this list earlier, and they were a lot lower than I just generally think of them being. They've got Arkansas at number 11. And then I thought that was interesting that Texas A&M all the way down at number 25 on this list as they try to run it back with coaching staff that I think is in over their head. But Gavin Grahovic and Caden Sorrell in that lineup, along with Terrence Keel, generally speaking, is a pretty good place to start. And Shane Tadeo, for them decided to come back. So big for the Aggies. But they got him at 25th. LSU second in Baseball America's way too early top 25 poll. We'll come back and close it out. Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge. GenesisofBatonRouge.com is that website. Every vehicle in the line, all of them. High-end, entry-level, sedan, SUV, every single model at Genesis is an IHA top safety pick. All of them. And some of them top safety picks plus. If you want to be in one of the safest cars on the road, you can get behind the wheel of a Genesis and know that's the case. Like when you test drive it, whether that's remote, at home, or near the office, or go to the dealership at Airline at PQ, you'll feel the comfort, the style, the beauty, the features. They'll walk you through everything, but you can't really know how safe a vehicle is until it's tested, and they've done that. The IHA gave them a top safety pick. So understand that's what you're getting behind the wheel of. If you're on Airline Highway looking for a vehicle and you stop it off at a bunch of dealerships, make one more stop at Genesis of Baton Rouge. Go see them. Tell them the Hunt Palmer Show sent you in there. Tell them you want to talk with one of their brand ambassadors. You want to get behind the wheel and see what it's about. I promise you will not be disappointed. It's a luxury brand. It's a luxury experience at a reasonable price. It's Genesis of Baton Rouge. You can find them online at genesisofbatonrouge.com.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools.
Wednesday shows always brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools. Been a good one thus far. Going to look at Saints camp from afar with Ross Jackson. We'll look a little more closely tomorrow with Luke Johnson. Gave you my thoughts on LSU's offensive tackle group. News of Trey Holly moving on. Tyrann Matthews' retirement. BT was great talking about that. So plenty to look at on demand here on this Wednesday. It'll all go up on YouTube, wherever you find your sound. If you search Hunt Palmer Show, like, subscribe, rate, review. Always appreciate y'all getting our content in front of as many folks as possible. The dog days are like kind of over. It's crazy how fast that goes when the baseball team handles their business, because like the Saints are in camp, so we're talking about real stuff with the Saints. LSU football is a week away from being in camp, and we just got by the MLB draft. Like it goes quickly when LSU does what they're supposed to do on the dime. I'm going to try to get Jay Johnson here in the next couple of days now that the dust has basically settled. River Hamilton signed last night with the Detroit Tigers. That was the one LSU signing that was selected in the 11th round that may have been either or. You felt like he was probably going to decide to go, and he has. So it's really basically your roster set up at this point. And so maybe we can get Jay on now that that's calmed down a little bit, and we can talk about what the draft process was like and what the summer balls look like, and kind of look towards the fall when LSU get back out there in a matter of a couple of months. But classes start up in I guess 3 weeks at this point now. So summer just about over here in the sporting world. So the show's just about over. We got one more order of business. Let's take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Presented to you by Flight by Yingling, the next generation of light beer, crafted by America's oldest brewery. Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
Flight by Yingling, the next generation of light beer built for Louisiana weekends, whether you're on the lake, whether you're on the grill, boiling, tailgating. Cool, crisp, refreshing, all the flavor of beer, but also on the light side, just 2.6 carbs and 95 calories. The oldest brewery in America, still family run and operated to this day by the Yingling family, is Flight by Yingling, the next generation of light beer.
All right, first one. Jacksonville Jaguars head coach Liam Cohen said they plan on having Heisman winner Travis Hunter practice at both receiver and cornerback in training camp, signaling their intention to play Hunter at both positions once we get into the real games. Hunter playing corner and receiver. Take it or leave it.
I'll take it. I think it's possible to do. I think you've got to be incredibly judicious about where you spend his time and feel like he can impact the game the most. You can't play a guy 140 snaps in an NFL game. So you've got to figure out where the best 90 are and make sure that he does that. I don't know what he's better at. My gut tells me it's wide receiver, and that's where they're going to spend the most time. But if you feel like you've got a bit of a hole at corner and he can play corner in the NFL, and you've got some wide receivers that you feel good about, and Ryan Thomas is a pretty good place to start, like, okay, I understand. I think he's a receiver eventually, but I'm not going to tell him you have to do this, you have to do that. I think Shohei Ohtani's kind of shown us that you can do some stuff if you try, and Hunter is the Heisman Trophy winner. I don't think it's unreasonable to give a comp to Shohei.
Yeah, I don't either. Let's see how it goes. I mean, I think before Shohei started playing in the majors, a lot of people questioned that about how it would work. A lot of people thought it would not be able to work with the workload and the way that they manage.
He was
players.
thought of as a pitcher.
Yeah. No one really thought he was gonna. Maybe he'll get some
best
pitch
hitter
hits.
in the league.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Next one, the two teams with the best record in MLB right now are the Chicago Cubs and the Milwaukee Brewers.
Yeah, I know.
The Brewers will still be around by September. Take it or leave it.
I have to take it.
I'll take it.
You weren't here. It was Monday. I went on a rant and raving like an idiot.
Okay.
It sounded like a moron.
Yeah.
I don't understand the Brewers.
Yeah.
They finally lost last night.
They did.
Keller was screaming, so I had to stay up late, and I was like, oh, well, they're playing on the West Coast, played the Mariners. Finally, they lose a game. It took a month for them to lose a game. I never heard of anybody on their team. And
Yeah,
yet,
you've heard of Christian Yelich.
I've heard of him. He's way past his prime. Woodruff, shoulder surgery, way past his prime.
Bryce Terang, you've heard of him.
Yeah, well, Terang and Mizorowski I don't like because they signed at LSU and didn't come, and they signed with the Brewers, so that's bad. They got rich doing it, and they probably don't care what I have to say, but I have interest. They're that the Brewers are bad and LSU is good, and when they forego LSU and then they go play for the Brewers, it's directly contradictory to my interest. So I don't like that either. And I think the Cubs should be way better than the Brewers, and they're not. They're tied with the Brewers, and they're about to be behind the Brewers because we're going to lose to the Royals.
Yeah, not looking great right now.
Correct.
Brewers playing right now though against the Mariners, so maybe they could lose too.
That'd be great.
Yeah. All right, last one. Actually, we got two more here. Let's see. We get them through them real quick. Dan Lanning, Oregon coach, is advocating for college football to adopt an NFL-style schedule with limited open weeks and no long layoffs for playoff teams, and a season that would wrap at the beginning of January as opposed to later in the month. Of course, The Ducks did have a long layoff in their playoff run last year. They had to wait 25 days before playing Ohio State. A shorter playoff in college football. Take it or leave it.
I'll take it.
I'll take it.
That sounds fine to me. I don't have to wait. I don't know what the point is to have the season wrap up Thanksgiving weekend and then go back and play after Christmas in the bowl games like we used to do. I don't know if that was a finals thing or a school thing or just because the holiday is an easier time to play a lot of football games. Like, I don't really know. But I'm okay with crunching it down. I mean, we're playing in cold weather stadiums now, so that's what we're gonna do. We made the decision to play some cold weather college football games. I'm fine with it.
All right, last one real quick. You're gonna like this one, Hunt. Live golfer Lee Westwood had a few comments about the official world golf ranking.
Awesome.
Live are waiting for to hear back if their latest submission to get accredited by the official world golf ranks will go through. He called the system a, quote, mockery after he went up 3,700 spots with his tie for 34th in the Open. The official world golf rankings is a mockery. Take it or leave it.
I'll leave it. I'll save Lee his time. You're 900th in the world. That's what you are now. You're old. You took the money, enjoyed the money. You can't compete anymore. So carry on. That's it for this Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. We're back tomorrow. Lots of Saints football as well as a look at LSU. Have a good Wednesday. See you tomorrow.
The Hunt Palmer Show.